And I think we're here to enjoy with you a discussion about not just the ocean, but also space and the land in between and the interconnections between them. So I guess I'll start it off by starting a conversation with my new friend, Nicole, who has actually spent more time underwater than I have. And we'll start
It's all relative, right?
Yeah, well, we'll start with your own experience in space and the ocean, and what do you see as the key connections between them both?
Well, very fortunate to have experienced those two extraordinary vantage points. What we like to think of as the inner space experience of living underwater for an extended period of time, and that was in preparation for going to outer space. And as it turns out, living underwater that way, saturated in this place where you can't just escape to the surface, is absolutely the best environment, extreme environment to prepare you to live in outer space.
And how long were you down there?
So we were down there for 18 days.
With how many people?
With 6 people.
In a space about the size of a large RV?
Like school busy, yeah.
Wow. School
busy sized place, which is about the size of one of the modules on the International Space Station. And so then this place where you're living underwater, where everything about it is a really beautiful parallel to what it's going to be like to live on a spaceship, where you're in a relatively confined space with your crewmates. You're in a place where you can't just open the door and jump in the minivan and drive home. You are in a place where if something goes wrong, you have to deal with it in that place with your crew. You can't just go out without special equipment on. That's the same as on the space station. And all of the work we were doing there, the experiments, the science, the way we were living and working together is just a wonderful parallel to what it's like to live in space. Right. And then I had the chance to live on the International Space Station. On my first mission, it was a little over 3 months. And then on my second flight, which was the final flight of the Space Shuttle Discovery, we went back and we were only there for 2 weeks, which I will never complain about 2 weeks in space. But man, they had to pull my clawing hands off the hatch to get me back. But I love it because your experience, I think, is the extreme of everything, right? The extreme of the depth of the ocean. I mean, I was at 60 feet. I might have been there for 18 days, but I was at 60 feet, off the coast of Key Largo. You've gone to like what we know of as the depth of the ocean, and then to the highest place the closest place to the sun on Earth, and then spent a little time in space as well.
Very brief time in space.
Well.
But I think what's extraordinary is just some of the facts and figures, and we'll get to why this is important. But if you think about when you go from sea level, where we are now, to outer space, you're going from 1 atmosphere of pressure to 0, a vacuum. When you go to the very bottom of the ocean, 11,000 meters down at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, you're going from 1 atmosphere to 1,100. So the pressure on a craft and being able to survive that for repeated dives is an extraordinary engineering feat. And where I'm going with this is that one of the big links between deep ocean exploration and space is the fact that the harshest environments in our solar system are in the deep ocean trenches of the Earth and on planets off of Earth. So if we are ever exploring Europa or Ganymede, looking for life, not just fossilized remains on Mars, but actual living organisms that are not from Earth, they will probably be in environments more similar to what we find in the oceans, especially the harsh, deep oceans, than we will things that live up here. And so that's one connection I think we have in ocean research and space travel and space exploration. What other similarities do you think there are? Why is it important that we don't make a binary choice between space exploration or ocean exploration, but that we must do both?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons. We've talked about some of them before coming here tonight, but there's one. When my friend Christina's here, my husband who's here, when we're out talking to our friends about, why do we just explore in general, right? That's this human thing that we do, and we can all argue about that whether we like it or not. It's true.
No,
we do it. I like it. And everything we do in outer space is ultimately about improving life on Earth. And in one way or another, that connection is going to allow us to learn more about what is under the surface of this planet as well, whether that's for us to be able to explore it. And I love the story you shared with me earlier about the first time you dove deep like that, where you got there. I mean, the whole point was to get there, right? To get to that place. And then, as John later said, to get safely home
and get
back up. But when you got there, it was this, and you can describe it, I would like you to, but this sense of awe and wonder just in where you were, right? And then realizing that, man, sometimes we just don't know what we're going to discover or why being in that place is important. And I think that's a pretty compelling thing just from the human side of exploration, without even talking about the science of what goes on between these two places of outer space and inner space.
Right.